Hello and welcome to NONI, Yanga's flagship talk show where we discuss the topics that you, our viewers at home, are talking about just a little bit louder. I'm Mercy Ajisafe and today I'll be asking my guests this burning question. You guys already know that I like to get straight in there with the difficult topics. Should a woman be legally forced to inform her partner of an abortion? So, who are my guests? Well, joining me today are broadcast journalist Adora Olay.
Hello.
DJ and banker Akin Bajamor.
Hi guys.
And UN ambassador and founder of Glitz Africa, Claudia Lamour. Welcome everyone. Now, this is a serious topic. It is very, very serious. So that's one of the reasons I did invite all three of you here today, because I figured that you would be the perfect three to help me hash this out. Now, for most women, the decision to have an abortion is not taken lightly. But what about the feelings of men? Do they count? Should they count? After all, it does take two to tango, well, two to make a baby. So if a child has been fathered in a relationship and the woman decides that she doesn't want to go through with the pregnancy for whatever reason, should she be forced to tell the father before she has an abortion? Now, from a moral point of view, many of us would argue that he does indeed have the right to know. But from a legal standpoint, the woman is perfectly entitled to take this difficult decision alone and without consulting him at all. Is this fair and is this right? Should the law be changed? Or do we believe that it's the woman's body that will experience either the birth or termination, and therefore she, and only she, has the ultimate say on what she allows to be done to it? There are many countries in the world where a woman couldn't have an abortion without her husband's permission. Similarly, there are many countries where men have no right to insist a woman abort an embryo that they fathered. The UK being one. Interesting. Now, studies have shown abortions do have an effect on men's feelings and their mental health. So in this era of asking men to reject toxic masculinity and speak about their feelings and work more in partnership with their partners, wouldn't a change in the law be a right step to take? Well, panel, let's discuss this. Now, first of all, let's talk about the actual dictionary definition of an abortion. The deliberate termination of a human pregnancy, most often performed during the first 28 weeks of pregnancy. So the argument here isn't about the legalities of abortions. You know, some people say, should abortions be illegal, should they not? Really what I wanted to ask today is, should a woman be legally forced to inform her partner before she has an abortion? Claudia, let's start with you because you're actually a mum. You're a mum of three and you're married to a handsome man, handsome tall man. Now, do you believe, now in your position, if you got pregnant and let's say you already have 3 kids, maybe you said that, you know what, I don't want any more, but Uncle said he wants another one, you know, African men, he's like, he wants a whole football team, but you've decided that, listen, I'm running my empire. Glitz Africa is not going to run itself. I've got work to do. I can't have this baby. And you want to go and have an abortion without telling him because you know he's your husband. He'll insist that you have it and you love him. You may actually choose to listen to him. Do you think legally you should be forced to disclose that information to your husband before you do it?
Well, what I will say is, I like the fact that it's saying that inform him. So the point is, I'm just informing him.
We're not asking your permission.
Yeah. So that's the bit I love because I'm a feminist, you know, even though I'm married and all of that. And I really believe in the right of women. That's why, that's what my role with the UN is to advocate for women, maternal health, childcare. So I'm hugely passionate about this. And I believe that informing him, I really believe that men have the right to be informed. But in terms of whether I keep it or I have the abortion, I do not believe that a man should have the final say in that, because I'm the mother. I'm going to host this pregnancy for 9 months. So I believe that since it took 2 people to make the baby, by all means, I think respect, just even to give the respect to that other person. That, you know what, oh, oops, this is what's happened. But you know what, I want to have an abortion. And I believe that, you should be able to have the final say as a woman.
Adora, I'm going to come to you next because you are the other woman on the panel. What is your opinion? What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Claudia said, but she is in a very lovely position. You know, we've seen her husband backstage. He's very tall, dark and handsome. She has 3 healthy, beautiful children, and they are in a good partnership. They're married. You know, sometimes it does depend on that relationship, and it depends on the man. In this modern age of ghosting and, let's just see how it goes. Nobody really knows the full status of a relationship.
Exactly. We're not not talking, but please don't date anyone else, because even though we're not talking, I don't want, like, it's really, I don't know, it's really weird.
I mean, it's like, okay, it's not about an oops baby and getting pregnant and then having an abortion. I think people should have relationship counselling, not sex education, relationship education. You know, you like me,
that.
Right, you like me, I like you. What's the deal here? Let's discuss children. Let's discuss money, because let's not make it taboo. It's not like, oh, let's see how it goes. You're not seeing how it goes with me, because if I get pregnant, then we're having the baby. So we've discussed. You know, many women are not in your position. You're a very successful lady. You know, you own your own magazine. You have a very supportive husband. So, you know, a lot of women would like to get to that stage, but we need to teach our young kids to start taking relationships responsibly. If you're old enough to have sex, you're old enough to understand what the consequences are. 100%. And I feel like some of these young girls, well, you know what? He was just telling me to see how it goes. And now I got pregnant, so I'm going to have an abortion. Why should I tell him?
Now, you know the really sad thing, before I come to the only man on the panel, it's funny that you touch on that very, very quickly. So the abortion rate in 2018 was highest for women at the age of 21, at the rate of 30.7 per 1,000 women. Now, last year, the highest rate, which was, yes, of course, the last rate in 2017, the highest rate for women aged 20, imagine, 29.1 per 1,000 women, and there were 1,267 abortions to girls aged under 16. Now, of these, 363 were to girls aged under 15. There were also 746 to women aged 45 or over. So according to the data we received, it seems to be younger girls that are having these abortions. Akin, as a young man, do you feel that legally women should be forced to inform their partners before they have an abortion? So let's say you got a woman pregnant, you got a young girl pregnant and she wants to have an abortion. How would you feel if you found out after the fact that she had actually had this termination and she didn't tell you?
So to touch on both points, I definitely feel the terms of the relationship does matter. If they're legally bound, then I do believe then she should legally be bound to inform him. Not make the decision, but definitely inform him. But in the case of the younger ladies that we're looking at, that might end up with Tom, Dick or Harry's, or in an unfortunate situation.
Pun intended, Tom, Dick or Harry, hey.
Or in an unfortunate situation. There are also cases where women get raped or get impregnated by people that they will never imagine having a child with, or never probably want to even see again. In those cases, I definitely believe there shouldn't be any legal constraints to whether or not they should inform the said father of the child. So yeah.
Now it's interesting that you say that, because I am one that definitely believes that yes, if they're bound together by law, it does make it a little bit different. But then if you're not in a marriage, does that discount the feelings of men? Because the reason why I ask this is according to studies. Now, a study examines the psychological and psychopathological reactions that may appear in a man when his partner aborts. Now, several men were interviewed at the time their partners voluntarily aborted. Now, it turns out that in spite of the man's lack of recognition of any reactions, there is considerable emotional involvement in the lost parenthood, both for the man and the woman. Now, as revealed by the interviews, the involvement may manifest itself in persecutory or depressive anxiety and psychosomatic systems. The appearance of these reactions is linked to the problems and conflicts aroused by prospective fatherhood, leading to a comparison between the experiences of fulfilled fatherhood and those of lost fatherhood. So basically what this is saying is that there is actually a psychological and a psychopathological effect on men when their children are aborted. So that doesn't change whether or not you're legally married or whether you're just dating someone. So what do we say in those instances? Because obviously I don't think that you should be asking for permission. I mean, let's go another route. You know, we recently found out that in Alabama, Missouri and Georgia, and I think Mississippi as well, they have banned abortions. Not only have they banned them, they have directly criminalized them. Anybody caught performing an abortion can face up to 99 years in prison, if I'm correct. There is a prison term associated with this. And get this, one of the things that I didn't love is that they actually voted all together to see, wait, hold on, should there be a modification to the law in cases of rape or incest? They decided no. So right now in those states, you are forced, if a woman is raped, if there's an issue of incest, if a woman has a baby that she doesn't want to have, she is forced to have this child. Aki, I want to ask you as a man, do you feel like those kind of laws are actually helping? Because we've just read that, okay, there is a psychological effect on men. Do you think that in these states that men will then feel like they're happier then because they're not losing their children? Do you think this is a positive step to take? I'm really intrigued at what you have to say.
Of course not. I think it's a very backward way to think, and it's very, very sad that women are being put in that position where they can't make a decision for themselves.
I love you.
Because in the same vein, if you know, if in that case there should be laws against men having vasectomies as well. So if in actual fact, if we're going to be equal, which it should be, then everything that goes for a woman should go for a man.
Yeah.
So I think it's very, very upsetting that a girl, imagine a young girl that's been raped, will be forced to go through a pregnancy by herself, have to support this baby by herself for the rest of her life, which would definitely have a negative or
now some people would say that a vasectomy does not equate to an abortion, but actually in actual fact I might be inclined to agree with you, because essentially the end result is the same thing. There are women who want children. I've had instances of women who want children, they're trying, they're not getting pregnant, only to find out that uncle went to go and have a vasectomy behind her back a while ago.
Exactly.
Now we do have to go on a short break, but before we do, just very quickly, Claudia and Adora, I want to get some more your thoughts on this. Just
if I can just jump in and go back to the psychological issues about men who, you know, if they have an abortion, you know, they can go through depression and anxiety. Yes, but then that goes back to my earlier point. The relationship matters. You know, you can't end up, you know, being depressed that your baby has been terminated and having an abortion. What did you do within the relationship to ensure that if this happens, what are we going to do? It's all too much medicine after death. You know what I mean? You know how to have sex. Can I say sex?
Please, yes.
You know how to have sex. In fact, you might even teach the person, do it like this. I like it like that.
Oh, put your leg like this until you give them back it up.
All these things. But then it's like, well, we're in a relationship. I would like it like this. I want to be respected like this. If we have a child, what do we do this? How are we going to do this? Where's the, you know, so not a, that's how I think about it, because accidents do happen. And of course, you can avoid these psychological issues that men are having if the conversation is more open.
Okay, I will be taking you after the break. We do have to, I mean, I know Claudia's going to say something very sensible, so hold it, tight it to your chest. Make sure you don't forget. We do have to take a short break, guys, but when we come back, I want to ask my panel if they think it's fair for a father to pay child support if he wanted the mother to abort the child. Well, guys, that's a bit of a heavy one as well, isn't it? I'm looking forward to what my panelists are going to have to say. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back. You're still watching Noni with me, Mercy Ajisafe, and my guests, Adora Lay, Akin Bajoma, and of course, Claudia Luma. So the question we were discussing before we went on the break was, should it be legal for women to inform fathers of their unborn children before they abort them? Now, I kind of want to expatiate on this a little bit and ask, if a woman can solely make the decision to terminate a pregnancy, then she can obviously also decide by herself to keep the baby, right? And if she does, the father is legally obligated to give her some sort of monetary child support, even if he didn't want to become a dad in the first place. So he has no say either way, but in both cases, the law is against him. Panel, what are your thoughts on this? Is this fair? Now, Claudia, you were about to say something before we went on the break, so you throw that to me, and then we're going to talk about this very quickly.
Yeah, I was just going to add to what Adora was saying with relationship, because what I wanted to say was kids are not puppies. You know, children are not puppies, because we are in a you know, in an era where young people feel like, oh, I want to have one or two of that. You know, I want to put all that ribbons in their hair. Oh, I want that Kim Kardashian trolley or pushchair. So people are jumping in, you know, having sex, as you're saying, but not thinking about what is going to happen after this, you know, this. And then when it happens, shame, you know, unfortunately, they're having sex with people that they don't even know their names or will never see again. Because I'm not a fan of abortion, you know, in the first place, but it's something that, you know, once they are in there, especially when babies are going to have, kids are going to have kids, you know, where do you go with that? And that's what I really wanted to throw in, that, you know, just even before getting pregnant, it's really important what you're saying, that they need some sort of relationship counseling.
100%.
They need to be taught about all of these things, because it's happening a lot, and it's really sad that we are coming to somewhere that a huge number of people need abortion. Why are we getting there? And
no, I mean, that's a very good question, I have to say. And when you say relationship counseling, you know, in Africa, and many parts of Africa, most especially Nigeria, before you get married, if you get married in a church, they offer marriage counseling, but that's not the kind of marriage counseling we're talking about. We're talking about counselling on real serious issues. Because the truth is, you made a very good point. You didn't say it, but the underlying undertone to what you said is, if you were treating a woman right, if you were treating a woman well in every way she deserves to be, it's very unlikely that she will take that kind of decision without informing you. Right. Very unlikely, apart from in the instances where they know that, okay, he is amazing, I love him so much. If he tells me to keep it, I am going to keep it, and right now this isn't going to happen. But you know, I'm very much pro-life. I'm not a big fan of death in any way like that, but I mean, sorry, I'm very much pro-choice, forgive me, not pro-life. I'm pro-choice, and one of the reasons I'm pro-choice is because it's simply this: parenting is the most important job you will ever undertake. I often say that our issue in Nigeria, and not even in Africa, but our issue in Nigeria is not corruption, it's not lack of resources, it is not even poverty, it is parenting. We, for the most part, especially the older generations, made terrible mistakes when they were parenting, and you have a society of broken children living in adult bodies going around fathering psychotic children, basically. Psychopath meets psychopath, and they have these children. So the reason why I say that I'm pro-choice is that some people don't need to bring children into this world, and if they already know it, they shouldn't. But now the point we're actually discussing is it fair? Is it fair that men do not have a right to choose? Because let's say, like you said, in the instance where you're both young, you're 21, you're 22, you have no interest, you don't want to have a baby, she comes to you and she says, hey, oh my God, Badge, I'm having a baby. True, say I got pregnant last time when you were doing what you were doing. And then you're like, nah, gee, I'm sorry, we can't have this baby, I'm not ready, I got my banking career, I'm a bad man DJ, true, say I'm a fine boy, I got things going on, I beg, please go and remove the thing, we're not doing this. And she doesn't, and then next thing you know, in 10 months, exactly 10 months, you get hit with a child support letter saying that they have taken a certain percentage of your salary. Is it fair that this is allowed to happen? Now, I have my own opinion, but I want to throw it to you guys. I'm coming to you last because you're the man. In fact, you know what? Because you're the man, let me come to you first. What do you think?
I definitely think the second you have sex with a woman, you are responsible. So you know what the risks are, you know what the potential, you know, there's protection, but everyone knows protection doesn't work all the time. In the same vein, it's like committing a crime or like parking in an illegal spot. You might not necessarily get a ticket, but if you get that ticket, you know there was a risk. So pregnancy is a risk of having sex. So the second you make that decision, you need to pay the fine, or you know, take the ownership of that decision.
Take responsibility,
and you have to be the father for the child. You have to own that. Literally, you have to own that position. You need to, although you might not be ready, but that's life. A lot of things come at you that you're not ready for. You take ownership, and then you make the most out of the situation.
I can be careful. There's some young girls watching now saying their hair, so this is why I need to do. Adora, please, I would love, because I can feel you. Go on.
I don't know. I mean, I'm a bit on the fence of this one. I mean, you know, you were saying, oh, you know, pregnancy is a risk. You know, pregnancy is a blessing. Again, it's the conversation. Before you're engaging in sex, some women cannot take the pill because their bodies will reject the hormone. So you need to ask, are you on the pill? Do we use this? What are we going to do? And then if you make it very clear, look, if something happens, I am not ready for this. But I do agree with you that, well, hey, she's pregnant, she kept it, so now what are we going to do? There's going to be another conversation to be had, but I would prefer it not to get to that level. There's a base 100%. Level that needs to happen. I mean, temptation of the flesh, I mean, you know, it's sex.
So I guess the question is, should men be forced to pay for kids that they didn't want? That's really, I mean, in your opinion,
they should. I think they should, to be quite honest, because, you know, even from what, just adding to what you're saying, you know, the moment you decided that you're going to have sex without protection, because it's very common that every young guy at the stage, if you started having sex, should have condoms next to your bed or in your wallet or wherever you keep it. But definitely once you've made somebody pregnant, whether you know it or you don't know it, you should be forced to pay childcare. I'm
in 100% agreement with you, because I honestly feel that the moment you decide to have unprotected sex with someone, you are both saying at some point, I'm willing to have a baby. Now, what about instances where this isn't the case? Now, we've had instances where, you know, the condoms have broken, you know, there is that, you know, we have microgynon babies, you know, the pill in some cases is only 99.9% effective, and there's that 0.001 chance and the baby will come. But what about, especially now, we're talking about manipulative, duplicitous women. Now, what about in instances where women have gone out of their way to trap you because they know that he got money in the bank, hey, you know, and they're like, yes, I'm gonna get him, boo, I'm gonna get myself a baller. In those situations, what do we think? How do we actually categorize this, and how do we develop a system where people are not benefiting off having children for people who just because they have money? What are your thoughts? Please, everybody has.
I mean, like, whatever the situation, I feel, you know, this child has come into this planet. Whether, you know, you wanted it was a one night stand, we're both drunk, I don't want to know. The baby is here. Somebody has to take responsibility, and the two of you. The man must pay childcare. In terms of whether some women are trying to trap you, that's where there's the court. So you go to the court and they can decide that, you know, we all know how much it takes to take care of a child.
Honestly, Claudia, honestly, I'm actually going to play devil's advocate here. We know in instances of parenting, the court is always biased towards women. We already know that the likelihood of a court
but the amount, because if you've made a footballer, you know, we all know how much they earn in millions of money, and because of that, I want to trap him and become pregnant. When we go and I'm saying, okay, I need £1 million to take care of this baby
a month. It
just doesn't make sense. So that's where the men, you have the court, but you can't ignore your responsibility and say, I'm not going to pay childcare. Because 15 years from now, you're going to regret this.
But what if you say, no, I will not regret it. I've always
take it to prison.
He said, I hate my mum, I hated my dad, so I didn't want to bring any children into this world. I told her from the very beginning I didn't want to have kids.
That guy should not be having sex at all with anyone any day of the week ever. If you're that screwed up about it, please don't leave your trousers on. That belt must be tight and just leave women alone.
So are we now saying that people who don't want to have children shouldn't be sexually active? Well, this is now turning into a different conversation. Let's do it.
I mean, in terms of what you said, I mean, look at the way. I mean, that guy sounds like a crazy person. I don't think he should. But I do agree with Claudia. I absolutely agree. Children don't eat every other day. You know, they need money. They need money to grow. I mean, the level of education. I like what you 100%. Said. If you're going to trap a baller or you know, anyone like that, I want $1 million a month. Probably not realistic. But you know, we can come to some sort of arrangement. But this is your child. This is your blood. Take responsibility.
100%.
I love that. Honestly, I can't say that I argue with you guys. Now, you know what? Interestingly enough, now, according to another study, there are extreme effects on father, the abortion, and the man. It's really, really sad. Recently, a study evaluated that the psychological and, once again, psychopathological reactions of men whose partners have chosen to have an abortion. Studies have shown that fatherhood causes deep personal and social changes and conflicts. It is therefore natural that an interruption of this process, such as through abortion, can inspire feelings of being partially killed for the individual in question, thus bringing back childhood anxieties and feelings of castration. Akin, what do you feel? What comes to mind when you hear the results of this study?
Yeah, so I definitely do understand that in the sense that as a man, it's almost demeaning to yourself as a man. The fact that a woman will think so. So there might be other reasons, but an issue that could come to some men is that the woman thinks so little of you that she doesn't want to bring a baby into the world with you.
So you would be hurt. Are you saying that if you were seeing someone and they didn't even give you the respect of telling you, how would you feel?
I would definitely be hurt. It will be very heartbreaking, and I think in the long run, it will definitely have effects on me as a person, because you'd keep flashing back to it. Like, is it what I did? What did I not do? Like, what could I have done better? Is it me as a person? There'll be a lot of mental challenges that you'll go through. Some people might end up in depression. Other people might, you know, have even fear of, you know, trying to have a baby in the future again. So there are lots of there
are a lot of effects, but guys, this is you know what, I love this topic. Is clearly we're all very passionate about this. We have so much to say, but we don't have that much time, so I'm going to do our last thoughts. Miss Olay, our superstar, tell us, give us your last thoughts on this.
I think it's your body, your choice, ultimately.
What about informing? Do you think that you should have? Do you think you should be?
It depends on the relationship. I like what you said very quickly. I mean, you know, if your person has a baby, you might think of me so little that you can just abort my child and then not tell me. I do understand, but then it's never going to be as bad as the woman going through the termination herself through her own body. That's how I feel. But
last thoughts, Akin.
I think in that respect, if a woman does go ahead with the decision by herself,
should she be legally forced to inform her partner?
Yes, in the sense that he will be able to, he should be able to support her when she goes through that decision.
I like her. Akin, are you really being authentic here? You're just trying to look for better girls, please. Claudia,
I think depending on how you became pregnant, you should be able to, you should tell the person. For instance, if you know you were raped, or somebody that you really don't want to inform, or is going to pose a risk to you by telling the man, then you shouldn't. But if you know, if you're in the right relationship, definitely tell the man, but you shouldn't make a decision whether you keep it or not.
Well, thank you so much. much to my amazing panel. These people have been absolutely wonderful. It's been a pleasure to have them on this table and on NONI. Now, guys, for me personally, I have to say that, yes, I do feel like, depending on the relationship, you should definitely disclose, because I'm thinking about, I mean, I have 6 brothers, and I can just only imagine how it must feel to find out that somebody was pregnant with your child and they terminated it without even telling you. But the flip side is you have to ask yourself some very, very serious questions if you're in a serious relationship and the woman feels that she should terminate your baby. Because the truth is, women who are loved right, women who are supported, women who are in a position where they feel like this man has my back in every way, in those instances it's very unlikely that the woman will want to abort that child, and most especially abort it without telling you. So I think, yeah, definitely, don't forget that while you should inform your partner, it is your decision and your decision alone. I don't think anyone, especially men, should be able to sit around in a room and make laws that govern women. Yes, I'm talking to you, the governments of Alabama, Mississippi and Georgia. I'm tired of it. It's 2019. Men cannot make decisions for women. Simple. Well, that's it from me, Mercy Ajisafe, and my fantastic, amazing, intelligent guests, Adora Olay, Akim Bajamo and Claudia Luma. And thank you to you, especially, yes, you, that one there as you're adjusting your wig, watching me. Thank you. Thank you. And don't forget, every episode of NONI, past and present, is available online at yangatv.com. So wherever you are in the world, you can see this show and other great content from Yanga TV. And I do hope maybe we have helped you make some very important decisions in your life. Join us again soon for more entertaining chats. Goodbye.